In his lifetime, Isaac Asimov rarely, almost never, could have seen his works adapted to the silver screen. 1988's Nightfall was a very rare example, although also 1990's Teach 109 was produced, albeit for television broadcast. Since Asimov passed away in 1992, still few attempts at adapting his literature have emerged in cinemas, although this has included the two most popularly known film adaptations of his work, 1999's Bicentennial Man and 2004's I, Robot. Both lacks considerations of Asimov's texts in lieu of chauffeuring their A-list lead actors. The former was another example of the dramatic turn from an incredibly recognizable comedian. The latter appeared to express an actor's regret at having turned down The Matrix, and despite an enthusiastic, though ultimately delirious, K-punk blog post contemporaneous to the film's release, it completely lacks distinction in that post-Matrix aesthetic squeeze, despite, or due to, the involvement of the overrated, not underrated, Dark City's Alex Proyas. There was another Nightfall adaptation in 2000, straight to video, and notably inferior to the fairly commendable 1988 film, and a telefilm in 1995, The Android Affair, and this would appear to be it for Asimov's screen adaptations produced after his lifetime. During his lifetime, there were a couple of extremely fascinating adaptations released, without his having seen them, presumably, and almost certainly, or definitely, without his permitting them. These were two adaptations of his much-acclaimed 1955 novel The End of Eternity, both originating within the Eastern Bloc. One emerged from Hungary in 1976, translating into English, its title is The Death of Immortality, and is potentially worth investigating for the curious, and the other, a 1987 Russian feature sharing the novel's title, The End of Eternity. The latter, directed by one Andrei Yermash, is perhaps certainly, almost inarguably, plausibly undeniably, the finest screen adaptation of Isaac Asimov's text ever composed, ever realized, and I'd like to express my dire wish that this work will one day receive a proper, respectable restoration, as all that is currently available is a taping of a television broadcast, to my own understanding. I do wish that Isaac Asimov could have seen Andrei Yermash's adaptation of his lauded novel The End of Eternity. It may have pleased him tremendously so. To be a bit pedantic for a moment, there were two short films made based off of Asimov's work, composed during his lifetime, 1977's The Ugly Little Boy, a 26-minute television production, as well as a 22-minute short for home release, All the Troubles of the World. Asimov may very well have seen these, I would not be surprised. I will not assess them here and now, however. This 1987 The End of Eternity picture is exemplary. It realizes Asimov's narratives, yet also includes its own unique repurposing of the events to suit a new, more resonant with Yermash seemingly, authorial goal, a distinct cultural assertion. The storyline's protagonist, Harlan, is manipulated on both sides, and a puppet until his controllers apathetically drop the rod so that he might see it and wince, wandering away with a somber silence, another fooled tool of the bourgeoisie. Such is life. Eternity will not be extinguished. It has become far too powerful now. It is almost a more exciting ending, one could claim, more akin to the captivating bleakness of the Eastern Bloc science fiction cinema, which has been retroactively revered by many contemporary Western audiences. One could even note that some of the film's final scenes, among the shots which take place in the natural environment near the decaying power station, or what appears to be one, this location is where, among the site wherein Tarkovsky's Stalker was filmed, in an area nearby and amongst the Zhigala River in Estonia. It doesn't just look like Stalker, what you see is exactly out of the insuperable Tarkovsky classic. Yermash's only other film credit would be a 1984 science fiction work whose title translates into English as Moon Rainbow, and which is yet to be assessed, although definitely intriguing on my own end. For those interested in an adaptation, even despite the, although quite interesting certainly, alterations to the text synopsis, this 1987 feature will be stellar. And for those who desire Soviet science fiction, they also shall be most sated. A magnificent feature, superbly executed, unsung lost classic, it may very well be considered at this stage. Some of the trippy visuals toward the end of this film bowled me over. I mean, at the time, some may have considered... It's interesting to think about how... There may have been those surrounding the film's production who would have seen the trippy effects at the end of the film and thought, oh, that doesn't look truly trippy and otherworldly, it doesn't this and that. There would have been naysayers, because of course there would be for any contemporary release. But in retrospect, a lot of audiences would look at that, a lot of film fans would look at that and be like, this is incredible, how did they do that? These same film fans would have tarnished it if they saw it upon release, so it's kind of interesting to think about. Like, most film fans are full of shit, let's be honest. They'll hate on something when it's released, but if in retrospect they're like, oh no, that was brilliant. If you don't want to take risks on having an opinion on something you don't know how to feel about yet, go you fucking parasites. This is a film which deserves many more champions. If you ever manage to find your way to it, I imagine you will rather enjoy, I would hope so, 1987's End of Eternity, an extraordinary achievement in the annals of cinematic renditions of great philosophic science fiction achievements. Unless something happens in my lifetime, Andrei Yermash will have directed the finest film adaptation of Isaac Asimov's work in the history of our planet. It wouldn't be a very surprising conclusion to note at the end of time, and I'm almost sure any prospective time-travelling Eternals have better concerns than persuading more 21st century filmmakers to realise on screen the works of Asimov. Though it might be interesting if they did, as long as they aren't horrible television slop exclusively made for those mostly unambitious streaming services, of course. Though if they could prevent any more of Asimov's literature being made into those particular kinds of programs, streaming service, low effort, non-interested, apathetic, pandering to formulaic familiarity trash, then, well, that would really just be all the better. If you have sat through all of this, I commend you. You are most brave, and would encourage you to find better things to do with your time. All the same, check out End of Eternity. That's a much better way of spending your day. Have the best possible day, in fact, night you could ever possibly imagine. Thanks again, my beautiful friends.